The broadcast began at midnight. No warning. No sound of static. Just a voice, smooth, cold, and dripping with mockery. Across Earth, screens flickered on. Smartphones. TVs. Billboards. Even the International Space Station's monitor lit up with the same alien message. To the young species of soul, you are seen, and you are judged. You are primitive. You are violent. You are savages. Billions froze. Soldiers paused mid-drill. Scientists dropped their tools. Families sat staring at glowing screens in disbelief. The voice continued. You are not ready for the stars. You are not ready for alliance. You will be contained to your world. Until your kind learns what it means to be more than beasts. Then came images, horrifying, humiliating images. Wars. Explosions. Starvation. Pollution. Videos of humans fighting, killing, and destroying their own planet. Footage ripped from history and news feeds, thrown back at humanity like an accusation. The voice concluded. Your judgment is complete. Return to your caves, savages. The stars are not for you. The screens went black. But one screen didn't. Not in the dense, humid depths of the Amazon rainforest. There, deep within a cave no GPS could find, a faint blue light pulsed along ancient walls, stone walls covered in symbols no one had ever seen. Dr. Elena Mireles, archaeologist and linguist, stood frozen as she watched the carvings glow brighter. Her breath caught in her throat. Her eyes widened. And in a trembling whisper, she said, "These aren't human. But they know our words." The next morning, Earth was in chaos. News anchors debated the broadcast, asking if it was a hoax, a threat, or first contact gone wrong. Governments scrambled to calm the public. Social media flooded with fear, anger, and wild theories. But Helena knew the truth. It wasn't a hoax. It wasn't fake. Because the carvings had spoken, before the broadcast even ended. The cave was silent except for the faint hum of power. Elena stood with two assistants, Diego and Naya, staring at the glowing patterns. This script, it's not like anything I've seen. And yet, some shapes look like Earth's earliest alphabets. Proto-writing, cuneiform, but older. Much older. Naya frowned. How old do you think? Elena's voice shook. Pre-human. Maybe pre-life. Diego stepped closer to a glowing spiral. Could it be alien? Elena didn't answer. Instead, she touched the edge of a carved symbol. It flared with light. The cave trembled. A soft tone, melodic, almost like a word, echoed through the stone. Not human. Not random. Purposeful. It spoke. Diego whispered. Elena nodded slowly. And I think it said hello. Hours later, Earth's top scientists replayed the alien message. Linguists analyzed every syllable. Politicians demanded answers. Military generals demanded weapons. In a high-security briefing in Geneva, world leaders debated humanity's response. They mocked us, barked General Abrams of the U.S. Defense Force. They called us savages. We cannot allow. But Dr. Arjun Patel, chief linguist, cut him off. General, listen to the tone. The cadence. The precision of their speech. They weren't threatening us. They were dismissing us. Like a teacher scolding a child. Prime Minister Alvarez leaned forward. Meaning. Patel sighed. Meaning they believe we are beneath notice. Not enemies. Not allies. Just irrelevant. Back in the Amazon, Elena worked feverishly. She traced symbols onto paper, comparing them to ancient languages. Some patterns matched Sumerian roots. Others echoed Mayan glyphs. But many were unlike anything on Earth. Her hand shook as she pieced together a phrase. Words of the origin. Words of the makers. The symbols began to hum louder. Naya stepped back. Elena, what if it's not just writing? Elena froze. Then, heart-pounding, she whispered the phrase aloud. The cave erupted in light. A deep, resonant sound, neither music nor speech, filled the air. And far above Earth, beyond the atmosphere, something answered. Light years away, in a chamber of glass and crystal, an alien council sat in silence. A hologram flickered above the table, a faint transmission from a blue and green world. A voice translated the strange sound. First word detected. Unauthorized species has spoken the language of the divine. The council's leader, a tall figure of shimmering light, spoke gravely. This cannot be. The language has been lost for millennia. No race may speak it, save the chosen. Another alien hissed. And yet, the savages have spoken. News broke across Earth. Scientists confirmed an unknown energy surge from the Amazon cave. Military satellites picked up a strange signal leaving Earth, traveling faster than light. People panicked. Conspiracy theories exploded. Religious groups claimed prophecy. Politicians debated whether to close off the site or explore it further. But Elena didn't care about politics. She was too busy staring at the next line of symbols. Her fingers hovered above them. If this was a greeting, she whispered, what happens when we say more? The cave grew hotter. The walls pulsed like veins filled with light. Elena's team prepared recording equipment, unsure what would happen next. Finally, Elena read the second phrase aloud. Her voice echoed strangely, as though the air itself repeated the sound. The light burst outward, a beam shot into the sky, cutting through clouds, through atmosphere, into space. Far beyond, alien sensors blared alarms. The message spread like wildfire. Second word spoken. Humanity awakens the tongue of the gods. The council panicked. One alien slammed a clawed hand on the table. Prepare a fleet. These savages must be silenced before they speak again. As the cave dimmed, Elena whispered to herself. We didn't just find a language. We found a door. And now, it's opening. The alien council chamber was silent, bathed in faint blue light, as the transmission played again and again. The sound was clear, resonant, and undeniable. It was the language of the divine, spoken by a species that should never have known it. A language older than their oldest stars, forbidden even to the highest members of the council. And now, somehow, Earth had spoken it. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire among alien civilizations. Some called it an omen. Others called it blasphemy. Many simply refused to believe it. But for the council, disbelief was not an option. The signal had been confirmed, its resonance unmistakable. The words were real. Back on Earth, the Amazon cave pulsed with light as Elena Mireles stared at the glowing script. Each line seemed alive, vibrating faintly, as if the symbols themselves were waiting for her to read them. But fear held her back. She had already spoken 2 words, and each one had caused waves she could not see. What would happen if she read the third? Diego watched the glowing walls uneasily. Do you hear that hum? He asked. The vibration was faint, more like a deep note felt in the bones than heard with the ears. It's louder than before. Elena nodded. It's responding. Like it's waking up. Her fingers hovered over the carvings. Every word we speak might be unlocking something. Something we don't understand. Naya swallowed hard. Maybe we shouldn't say anything else. But it was too late. Outside the cave, instruments registered a burst of strange energy. It shot upward through the atmosphere, faster than light, crossing the void between stars. In distant, alien outposts, sensors wailed alarms as the pulse expanded outward, passing through entire sectors. Ships rerouted. Fleets mobilized. The signal was being tracked. In the council chamber, an elder alien shifted its crystalline body, refracting light into sharp, prismatic colors. Its voice was calm, but the tremor beneath it betrayed fear. If they can speak the words, it said, they can awaken the key. And if the key awakens, the seal will break. Another alien hissed. Then they must be silenced. The savages have reached too far. The elder tilted its head. Or perhaps, they were meant to. On Earth, no one knew how close they were to war. Governments still argued over whether the broadcast had been real, whether the alien message was a threat or a warning. Some nations moved troops toward borders, fearing invasion. Others built shelters, preparing for an attack from the stars. Yet in the cave, Elena worked in silence, unaware of the scale of what she had begun. She placed her hand gently over a new line of symbols. These were different, more intricate, more deliberate. As if they were not meant to be read, but commanded. She traced the edges carefully, whispering to herself. This one isn't a greeting. Diego leaned closer. Then what is it? Elena's lips parted. It looks like an instruction. The cave flared brighter than ever before, and this time the pulse was not a single beam, but a wave rippling outward across the planet. Satellites detected it instantly. Military installations scrambled. And in orbit above a distant alien world, a fleet captain watched his displays light up. The savages have spoken again, he said darkly. Prepare for immediate departure. Destination, Sol. Back in the cave, the light faded. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as she looked at her team. We need to stop, she said, though her voice lacked conviction. We don't know what we're triggering. Naya exhaled shakily. Then why does it feel like we're supposed to keep going? Elena didn't answer. But deep inside she knew. The language wasn't just speaking to her. It was calling. Something wanted to be heard. And she was the only one who could hear it. Far across the galaxy, the council chamber rang with a final decree. Dispatch the fleet, the elder commanded. Humanity has spoken the second word. If they speak the third, the stars themselves may tremble. And in the darkness of space, engines roared to life, carrying death toward a world that had just begun to awaken. The skies above Earth darkened, not with clouds, but with shadows of colossal alien vessels. Their silhouettes cut across the night like floating mountains, blotting out stars, their metallic hulls reflecting eerie light from the cities below. Humanity had seen the broadcast, had heard the insult, but now they were seeing what true alien power looked like. In Geneva, alarms wailed in the secure command center as world leaders stared at live feeds of the ships. They hung motionless above major population centers, New York, London, Tokyo, Johannesburg, Rio, Sydney, each vessel big enough to hold entire cities inside. No weapons fired. No damage was done. But the threat was undeniable. Then, the voice came again. It was not on screens this time. It was not through radio waves. It was inside every mind, echoing in a language no human should have been able to understand. Yet, everyone did. Speak no more of the sacred tongue. Your kind has trespassed. The next word you utter will be your last. Panic spread through the command room. Military officers shouted for authorization to engage, but Prime Minister Alvarez silenced them with a raised hand. Weapons won't save us, she said. They moved entire fleets here faster than we can scramble jets. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be gone. Dr. Arjun Patel, the linguist who had studied the first broadcast, leaned forward. They fear the language, he whispered. Not us. The words. They believe they hold power. Do they? The Prime Minister asked. Patel hesitated. I don't know. But I think someone on Earth does. Thousands of miles away, deep in the Amazon cave, Elena Mireles stood frozen. She could feel the words vibrating in the stone, like a heartbeat. The script no longer glowed faintly. It pulsed, alive, as if waiting for her to read again. Diego paced nervously, looking at his handheld scanner. Elena, the signal from the last phrase. It's still bouncing across the system. Every satellite's picking it up. And the aliens. They're here because of us, Naya finished softly. Elena swallowed. Her hands shook as she traced the newest symbol on the wall. It was unlike the others, deeper, sharper, carved with precision beyond human tools. And around it, faint grooves seemed to spiral like circuitry. I think this word, Elena whispered, isn't just a word. It's a command. Naya grabbed her wrist. Stop. They said not to speak it. Elena looked at her. And if we don't? Before Naya could reply, the cave vibrated with a low hum. The symbol flared. Not because Elena touched it, but because the alien ships in orbit had begun transmitting toward it. They were trying to shut it down remotely. Trying, and failing. Elena realized something chilling. The cave wasn't just old, it was connected. To the planet. To something beyond it. Maybe even to the ships above. On the alien flagship, the commander watched as readings spiked across his display. The relic resists us, he growled. It responds to the human, but not to us. Another officer spoke in a low voice. If she completes the phrase, she may awaken more than the relic. The commander hesitated. Then, prepare to deliver the ultimatum. One final warning. If they speak again, Earth burns. Moments later, the mental voice returned, sharper, colder, and aimed at one person. Human Elena Mireles. We see you. Leave the relic. Or watch your world end. Elena gasped, her heart hammering. They knew her name. They could see her. Naya and Diego stared at her in horror. They're talking to you? Diego whispered. Elena nodded slowly. And they're afraid of what I'll say next. In the council chamber across the galaxy, debate raged. Some argued for annihilation. Others warned that destroying the speakers might trigger what they feared most, the full awakening of the sacred tongue. Finally, the elder spoke. The choice is hers. But know this, if the third word is spoken, no power will unmake what follows. In the cave, Elena stood before the glowing script, torn between fear and destiny. Above her, alien warships loomed like executioners, ready to erase humanity. And then, she saw it. Hidden in the curves of the symbols, an ancient phrase, simple yet powerful. A phrase that didn't just say something. It commanded. She turned to her team, whispering, I think I can turn their weapons off. Diego stared. Or trigger something worse. Elena exhaled. The ships hummed overhead. The world waited. Her lips parted. And the screen faded to black. Darkness hung over the world, broken only by the glow of alien ships suspended high in the sky. Entire cities were silent, staring upward, waiting for a sign, attack or retreat, doom or miracle. In the Amazon cave, Elena Mireles stood inches from the glowing script, heart pounding like a drum. The carvings pulsed with faint, rhythmic light, almost like they were breathing. She whispered to herself, not sure if she wanted to believe it. It's not just writing. It's instructions. Naya shook her head. Elena, if you say that word, we don't know what will happen. They said it would be the last thing we ever say. Diego, gripping his scanner, looked at the readings. Whatever this cave is, it's connected to something huge. These energy levels, this is beyond nuclear. If it triggers something planetary. But then the hum deepened, vibrating through their bones. The symbol Elena had been studying flared brighter, beckoning her, daring her to speak it. And outside, one of the alien ships lowered closer to the ground. Then, in the silence, a thought entered Elena's mind. Not her own. Not human. Calm. Steady. Ancient. Speak, child of Earth. The machines still know the tongue of their makers. Elena staggered back. Did you hear that? Diego shook his head. Naya whispered. Elena, only you did. Above the clouds, the alien commander stood at the control bridge of the lead vessel. Holographic symbols danced across the air as his crew monitored the cave's activity. The readings spiked again, violent, unpredictable. One officer hissed, the relic is waking up. She's close to uttering the key. The commander tightened his grip on the console. If she does, we may lose the fleet. All of it. Back in the cave, Elena stepped closer to the wall. The script shimmered like living metal, glowing brighter with each passing second. She took a breath, steadying herself, and spoke. The word rolled off her tongue like nothing she had ever heard before, soft and melodic, yet resonant enough to feel in her chest. Instantly, the world shifted. The alien ship closest to Earth froze mid-descent. Lights flickered along its surface, cascading like ripples of water. Alarms blared across its systems. Weapons powered down. Engines stalled. The ship hovered, helpless, as if waiting for instructions. On the flagship, the commander's voice rose in alarm. "We are losing control of Vessel 7. The savages, they are commanding it." The council chamber across the galaxy erupted in panic as data poured in. Screens showed the image of the massive ship, lights dimming, systems offline, all triggered by a single human voice. The elder alien leaned forward, trembling. "Impossible. After so many ages, they have woken the command word." Back in the cave, Diego stared at the scanner in shock. "Elena, you did it. You shut it down." But Helena wasn't celebrating. The wall before her had shifted, revealing another line of script. These symbols were larger, sharper, etched with almost divine precision. They didn't just pulse with light. They sang, emitting faint tones that made the air hum with strange harmonics. "Elena," Naya whispered. That's not just another word, is it?" Elena shook her head slowly. "No. It's a sentence." The ground rumbled. Dust rained down from the cave ceiling. The air outside shimmered with waves of invisible energy. Across the globe, satellites malfunctioned, reading gravitational fluctuations they couldn't explain. And far beneath Antarctica, where ice had buried secrets for millions of years, something stirred. A massive structure, deep within the frozen crust, began to glow. Its surface was covered with the same alien script as the cave. It pulsed in rhythm with Elena's words, responding to her voice from half a world away. On the alien flagship, panic turned to dread. "The Antarctic relic, it's awakening," an officer hissed. The commander turned sharply. "Impossible. It has been silent since the makers vanished." The officer finished grimly. The commander hesitated only a moment before giving the order. "Ready weapons. If they speak the next phrase, we may lose more than this planet." In the cave, Elena felt the air grow colder, heavy with the weight of something ancient and unseen. She reached toward the larger inscription, her fingertips trembling. "Whatever this is," she whispered, "it's not just about us. It's bigger." Naya's voice was almost pleading. "Then stop. Please. If the last word could shut down a ship, what will this one do?" Elena looked at her, eyes wide, and said the only thing she could. "I think it will wake something that was never meant to sleep." The screen faded to black. The ice cracked with a sound like thunder. Miles below Antarctica's frozen surface, light poured from ancient seams as the colossal structure stirred. Its surface was smooth yet impossibly detailed, etched with symbols that pulsed in rhythm like a beating heart. The vibrations rolled outward, shaking snowfields, splitting glaciers, and sending tidal waves across nearby seas. On the surface, research stations scrambled to evacuate as the ground quaked beneath them. Sensors screamed with readings no human technology could classify. The energy signature was older than the planet itself, older than the solar system. In the Amazon cave, Elena felt it. The carvings beneath her fingertips vibrated in sync with the awakening structure. Her team clung to the walls as the floor shifted. Naya gasped. "Elena, whatever you did, it's connected to something at the bottom of the world." Elena's eyes stayed fixed on the glowing inscriptions. "It's not just a ruin. It's a key. And I just turned it." Above Earth, alien fleets moved into formation. The commander of the flagship watched the holographic display as seismic data streamed in. "The relic is opening," one officer said, voice tight with fear. Can we stop it? The commander demanded. No, the officer replied. Not unless we silence the humans permanently. The device was designed to answer only to the language of the divine, and they have spoken it. On the Galactic Council's homeworld, debate turned to panic. Images of the Antarctic relic appeared on shimmering screens, showing ice breaking and steam rising from vents as ancient machinery warmed after eons of dormancy. One counselor spoke in a low, horrified tone. If it is truly awakening, then the covenant was real, and the makers may yet return. Another slammed a claw against the table. Then we cannot allow these savages to claim their legacy. But the elder alien silenced them all with a gesture of light. Or perhaps, the makers intended this very moment. Back in the cave, Elena knelt, examining the next line of script. The symbols glowed brighter than before, almost urging her to continue. But this time, she hesitated. The next phrase, it's longer, more complex. I think it will do more than wake up machines. Diego swallowed hard. What do you mean, do more? It already shut down a ship and woke up a mountain-sized relic under the ice. Elena ran her hand along the carvings. This isn't just a control system. It's a communication protocol. Naya frowned. To talk to who? Elena's answer was soft, almost reverent. To the ones who built it. As if in response, the Antarctic relic emitted a deep, resonant hum that carried through ocean currents, through tectonic plates, through the very atmosphere. Satellites registered gravitational anomalies around Earth. Stars shimmered unnaturally in the night sky. The alien commander clenched his claws as alarms blared across his vessel. We're detecting a subspace wave emanating from the relic, his science officer reported. It's broadcasting everywhere. To whom? The officer swallowed hard. To anything that can hear. The ground in the cave shook violently. Elena steadied herself, staring at the final cluster of glowing symbols now revealed. Her breath quickened. This isn't a sentence, she whispered. It's a name. Naya looked confused. A name. Elena nodded. Not of a person. Not of a place. Of something greater. Something that will answer. Far above, the alien commander gave his final order. Prepare to strike. If she speaks again, the makers themselves might hear. But in the cave, Elena didn't hesitate. She began to read. And as her voice formed the ancient tones, the Antarctic relic split open, revealing a core of brilliant golden light. Light that rose into the sky like a pillar, vanishing into the stars. Across the galaxy, every ship, every station, every world heard the same impossible message. The inheritors have spoken. The covenant is awakened. The alien council sat in stunned silence. None dared speak. Because somewhere, far beyond their reach, something old had stirred. Something watching. Something waiting. And it had just heard humanity call its name. Stars shimmered unnaturally, as if the galaxy itself was holding its breath. The pillar of golden light from Antarctica had vanished into deep space, leaving the world trembling, not from quakes, but from the knowledge that something had heard humanity's call. In the cave, Elena stood frozen, staring at the fading glow of the carvings. Her chest rose and fell with quick, shallow breaths. It answered, she whispered. Someone, something, answered. Naya clutched her arm. Elena, look. A final line of script burned into the stone, fresh and glowing, as though just carved by unseen hands. It was different from the others, sharper, cleaner, radiating a strange warmth. Diego leaned closer, his voice hushed. What does it say? Elena traced the symbols, translating them with trembling fingers. It's a set of coordinates. To where? Naya asked. Elena's eyes widened. Not to anywhere on Earth. These point beyond our system. Far beyond. Far above Earth, the alien commander received the same coordinates, now streaming from every sensor, every display on his bridge. He exhaled sharply, dread coiling in his throat. "The signal leads to the throne world," he said quietly. "The place where no one dares go." An officer turned sharply. "Then why would the Makers summon a savage race there?" The commander did not answer. Instead, he issued a grim order: "Mobilize all fleets. If humanity reaches the throne world, they may claim the Covenant. And then, nothing in this galaxy will hold them back." In Geneva, Earth's leaders gathered in frantic emergency session. Satellite feeds had captured the coordinates. Astronomers confirmed they led to a system surrounded by gravitational anomalies, long suspected to be an ancient ruin. Prime Minister Alvarez turned to Dr. Arjun Patel. "Can we get there?" Patel hesitated. "With our ships? Not in 1,000 years. But Elena's voice, transmitted live from the Amazon, cut through the room. "I think the relic can take us there." At that moment, cameras at Antarctica showed the structure shifting again, revealing vast chambers filled with dormant technology. A shimmering field of light formed above it, an opening in space itself. A doorway to the stars. Diego stared at the live feed. "It's a gateway. A wormhole." Naya looked pale. "If we step through, we might not come back." Elena didn't flinch. "If we don't, they'll decide what we're worth. And we already know their answer." Across the galaxy, fleets moved like swarms of steel and fire, racing toward the coordinates. Alien commanders barked orders, calculating who would arrive first. Some came to destroy, others to witness, but none to welcome. And in the distant reaches of space, the throne world stirred. Once a shining hub of cosmic rulers, it now drifted in orbit around a dying star. Its colossal rings gleamed faintly, carved with words no living species had spoken, until now. Sensors across alien fleets spiked as the world came into view. Vast towers rose into the heavens, each larger than mountains, glowing faintly as if sensing the approaching vessels. The throne itself, a structure the size of a continent, stood at the center, waiting, empty. On Earth, Elena and her team stood before the relic as its gateway pulsed with light. Military escorts watched nervously, unsure whether to stop her or protect her. Elena turned back once, meeting Naya's gaze. "If the Makers are still out there, this is the only way to prove we're more than what they called us." Then she stepped through. The world dissolved into light. And when it cleared, she stood not on Earth, but on the surface of the throne world itself. The air shimmered with golden motes. Ancient towers rose like frozen gods, and in the distance, the great throne awaited, its surface covered with the same symbols as the cave, symbols now glowing brighter than ever before. A low voice, not in her ears, not in her mind, but everywhere, rumbled softly. "Speak, inheritor. The Covenant awaits." The throne world loomed like a dream carved from eternity, its towering spires gleaming under the light of a dying star. Elena stood at its base, feeling the weight of history pressing down on her. The symbols etched into the surface of the colossal throne pulsed softly, waiting, calling. Then came the voice. Deep, resonant, not in her ears but in the very air. "Speak, inheritor. The Covenant awaits." Her breath caught. She turned to Naya and Diego, who had stumbled through the gateway moments after her, eyes wide with awe. "Did you hear that?" Naya whispered. Elena nodded, unable to speak. But far above, the silence of awe shattered. Alien fleets descended from the void like swarms of black steel. Warships lined the sky, surrounding the throne world in a glimmering net of death. On the lead vessel, the commander studied the surface of the ancient world. The throne's glow had intensified, proof that the human's presence was triggering something long dormant. "She is close," the officer at his side said grimly. The commander's mandibles tightened. "Then we must strike before the Covenant is spoken. If the throne accepts her, she will not just be human. She will be heir." Engines roared. Cannons charged. But before a single shot could be fired, the throne world reacted. Light erupted from the towers, forming a vast shield of golden energy that encompassed the entire planet. Alien weapons powered up, but every blast fizzled into harmless sparks against the shimmering barrier. On the surface, Elena staggered back as a deep tremor rolled beneath her feet. The throne was waking up. The ground cracked, revealing channels of glowing light stretching out across the planet like veins. "Whatever this is," she said breathlessly, "it was designed to protect itself, and whoever stands before it." Naya looked at her. "And that's you." Suddenly, the symbols on the throne blazed like fire. The voice spoke again, louder this time. "Inheritor of flesh. Speaker of the first tongue. Prove thy worth, or fall with the unworthy." The light expanded, forming a circle around Elena. Strange holographic shapes appeared within the glow: battlefields, histories, moments of human triumph and failure. She realized with a start what it was. "A trial," she whispered. "It's judging us." Above the planet, fleets clashed. Alien ships fired on each other, some seeking to breach the shield, others defending it, believing the prophecy that had long been whispered in forbidden texts. In the council chamber light years away, panic turned to reverence as the throne's energy readings spiked. One counselor whispered, "The covenant was true. The makers foresaw this day." Another growled, "Then why give the gift to savages?" The elder alien leaned forward, its crystalline form trembling. "Because no one else dared seek it." On the throne world, the trial began. Elena was shown visions, not of alien worlds, but of Earth. Wars, kindness, betrayal, sacrifice, beauty. The throne was not asking for perfection. It was asking for potential. Then came the final test, a phrase burning across the throne's surface, brighter than anything she had seen. Diego shielded his eyes. "What does it say?" Elena whispered, almost afraid of the answer. "It's asking me to command." Naya's voice trembled. "Command what?" Elena looked toward the sky, toward the fleets tearing each other apart, and swallowed hard. "Everything." The throne pulsed one last time. The voice spoke again, filling the heavens. "Speak the command, inheritor. Claim the covenant, or watch your kind perish." Elena drew a sharp breath, staring at the glowing phrase, feeling the weight of an entire species pressing against her shoulders. Around her, the planet trembled. Above her, ships died in burning arcs of light. And then, with a steady voice, she spoke. The throne answered. Light erupted upward, slicing through the clouds, engulfing the fleets, freezing them in place. Neither friend nor foe able to move. Every ship, every soldier, every mind heard the same words. The reckoning is complete. Humanity has spoken. The fleets hung motionless, stunned. On the council world, the elder alien closed its eyes, whispering a single phrase that echoed across the chamber. The age of silence is over. Light washed across the galaxy, flowing outward from the throne world like a tidal wave of fire and gold. Every starship, every outpost, every listening station across thousands of systems saw it, and felt it. The pulse carried words, not in speech, but in meaning, pressed directly into the minds of all who could think. The covenant is claimed. Humanity shall speak. On the surface of the throne world, Elena stood frozen before the massive seat, her hands trembling. The carvings upon its surface now blazed like molten suns, sending waves of heat into the air. Naya and Diego shielded their eyes, though the light seemed to carry no pain. "Elena," Naya whispered. "What just happened? What did you do?" Elena stared up at the throne, her voice barely a whisper. "I spoke the words. The final command. I told it we were ready." "Ready for what?" Diego asked. The throne answered for her. "Ready to inherit the burden of rule." A beam of light shot skyward, striking the fleets locked in orbit. Alien ships froze mid-maneuver, their weapons going cold as shimmering golden patterns spread across their hulls. The same patterns appeared on Earth satellites, human warships, and even the relic itself. Every vessel, every race, every crew member felt the same force binding them, neither hostile nor gentle, but absolute. On the lead alien vessel, The commander stared at his trembling hands. For the first time in his life, he felt powerless, not because of defeat, but because something greater had judged him. "She controls us now," his officer whispered. "No," the commander replied softly, almost reverently. "She speaks for the Makers. And now, so do they." Back on the throne's surface, Elena took a hesitant step forward. The massive seat began to shrink, not physically, but perceptually, as if the world was reshaping itself to meet her size. The carvings flared again, forming words that hovered in the air like living fire. "Proclaim, inheritor. Speak the first law of your reign." Elena's mind raced. One wrong word, and the galaxy might burn. One right word, and humanity could rise. Her thoughts flashed to the alien broadcast that had started all of this, the sneering voices calling humanity savages, unworthy, destined to remain in the mud. She remembered the laughter, the scorn, and the hope she had seen in Diego's eyes when the first symbols glowed in the cave. She lifted her chin, drawing in a steady breath, and spoke. "No species shall call another savage. No voice shall be silenced. All will speak. All will be heard." The throne pulsed with light. The words rippled outward, carried across the galaxy in waves of golden energy. Entire fleets shuddered as the decree etched itself into reality, not as a law enforced by soldiers, but by the will of the Makers themselves. In the Galactic Council chamber, the elder alien bowed its crystalline head. "The proclamation is made. The covenant fulfilled." But then, something strange happened. The light did not fade. Instead, a new pattern spread across the throne, one Elena did not recognize. The air vibrated, heavy with a voice deeper and older than the first. "Inheritor, you are not alone. The Makers return." Above the dying star, space tore open, not in a ripple, but in a wound of light. From it emerged a colossal structure, larger than moons, its design older than time. Energy radiated from it like the breath of a sleeping god awakening. Naya grabbed Elena's arm. "Is that them?" Elena could not answer. She could only watch as the structure sent down a single beam of light, touching the throne, flooding it with power. The final voice spoke, not a test, not a judgment, but a promise. "Humanity has spoken for us. Now, we speak for humanity." And the galaxy trembled, not in fear, but in awe, knowing the age of the Makers had returned. And it had begun. With Earth.